Good morning, everyone. It's Monday at 11 a.m. This is Jason Schwartz. We're here on Radio KATU, and this is the Neutral Zone. Welcome to our show. Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I've been around for a long, long year. So many men sold away. And I was around when Jesus Christ had his moment of doubt and pain. Made damn sure that Pilate washed his hands and sealed his fate. Pleased to meet you. Hope you get my name. But what puzzling you is the nature of my game. Good morning, everyone. Aloha. This is Jason Schwartz. This is the Neutral Zone. It is Monday, January 13th, 2020. Why, when I say 2020, I still don't believe it.
Wish it was your eyesight, Jason.
No, all I hear is Barbara Walters saying 2020.
Right.
And I hear me talking about 2020 vision forever. And now we're in 2020. That's another show, because today, this is a show really for my joy. I wanted to have a guest on that I like as a person, that I would talk about something other than the issues of the day, how to make things better, how to make things worse, what is up, what is down. But we could get into the world where we get to create. And I'm here with Robert Angelo.
Hello, Jason. Show. Thank you for inviting me on. Yeah, this is fun.
Robert,
by the way, I just want to ask you, Neutral Zone, are we in Switzerland?
We are in Switzerland. Maybe get a little bit closer. Otherwise,
a little bit closer.
It's not a problem. It's just an echo thing. So here, you stay.
I get too close, I'll have a harassment suit.
You see, well, yeah, you will.
Yeah.
Robert is a consummate actor. Many people know him here on this island, but also, those of you of my age and around, you were on a couple of soaps, weren't you, years ago?
I was, actually, yeah, in New York. I grew up in New York, and I directed about 40 shows there and acted in quite a few shows. And then I wound up directing and coaching in New York, coaching professional actors for auditions, monologues, et cetera, and it's one of the things I really love to do, and I'm doing it here on Maui and now a little bit in Honolulu as well. So,
well, and your I want to say your acting workshop is called ActNow.
ActNow, that's correct.
Where did that come from?
Well, it's about being present in the moment. Being totally present. If you're thinking about what you're going to do and or what you've done as you're performing, you're not in the moment. And acting is being totally present in the moment to moment to moment. So you're not thinking, you're just being in the moment. And that's a discipline, and that's what we work on, among other things.
So, you do individual coaching. You do group
private coaching, and you actually, my associate Brad Starks. We're working on a new project. We keep developing new aspects of how to work with actors, and one of the things we've done is worked with doing videos for their reels. So we've been giving them scenes and monologues.
A reel is when you go out for an audition, or even before, you put out your work, and it's called a reel.
Yeah, now it's all done on.
It's all digital. There ain't no reels anymore.
No, but that's what they call it. But it's all done on computer now. They want to see you. They'll Skype you. They'll want you to send your reel online. Email. So we did that, but now we're about to approach a new way. Brad came up with this idea, and I really love it. We took a lot of short scenes from famous TV shows and movies, like 60-second, 35-second scenes about lawyers, doctors, interrogation scenes, et cetera, et cetera. And we're going to be offering that as the next series of classes we're going to do. And we'll give them these scenes, because now we're coming into pilot season. And in Honolulu, it's happening. In California, it's happening. So we want to get this done sometime later on this month and into February.
So here in January and into February of 2020. What's the best way for people to contact you?
Psychically or just no email?
Which is?
actnowclasses@gmail.com.
Yeah, that's important to know. actnowclasses@gmail.com.
Right.
Good. And what I really like is that you're keeping it fresh. So when I hear you putting together 35 and 1 minute little pieces about lawyers and doctors, is that the direction you see on auditions and television and those kind of roles more than, say, Pinocchio or you play an elephant?
That's a whole other different category. You're talking about voiceovers for cartoons, etc.
I'm thinking of that. When I watch TV,
animated?
After a while, I stopped watching TV, and I could easily switch to Netflix and this stuff because what I see is they get a formula, and now the new actors are all doing TV shows. Now they're doing medical cop shows.
Right.
Then they do a vampire dancing on a medical cop show.
What are the most common genres you're seeing on TV, Netflix, anywhere else? It's doctors, lawyers, cops, et cetera, et cetera. And that's where the auditions are going to be taking place. So you want to have that material in your repertoire and on your reel, so to speak, so you can submit those type of parts.
That's really a powerful thing you said. Yeah. So the reel is really everything now. Can you still be an actor from Maui and audition everywhere?
Yeah, you can. I'm doing it. Although I do fly over to Honolulu quite a bit. If you're really showing what they want to see, and basically it's not always about the talent. You got to remember this, Jason. A lot of times it's about the look. If you have a certain look, they can work with you. So that comes into play. It's not always about the talent.
Are you your own agent, or do you have an agent?
I have an agent and a manager. Yeah.
So people that are out there, do you train people on how to go at that from here?
I in my classes and workshops, basically I have them ask me questions, and they'll come in and they'll ask me, what do I do about this, that, the other thing? How do I go about that? And I coach them in all aspects of pursuing a career. Now, a lot of people come to the class that don't pursue a career, don't want to pursue a career. They want to learn more about themselves and be more who they are. And because they have blocks. And let me talk about acting for a minute.
Please.
One of the key things I know, and what I've experienced through what I've learned as an actor from years and years of experience, and from the masters that I work with and who I was taught by, the person that had the most influence on me was a gentleman by the name of Gil Fisher in New York. And now, back in the 50s, he was roommates with Steve McQueen. And he's done a ton of work, a lot of theater work, a lot of film work. But a lot of his philosophies I adopted, and they work. And right now he calls me maestro, master. He loves what I do. He loves what I coach. Here's the thing. There are lots of schools of actors, and I've seen them come and they go, and they do the same thing over and over again, spouting Stanislavski, this one and that one, and Strasberg or whatever. And they're all valid, but every person has a different way of approaching acting. And the thing is to find out what it is that they do. Now, a lot of these coaches, they'll give it a different name. I don't want to run into names or name people, but they give it a name. Like my methodology is ActNow. And that is basically based on the common denominator that I believe all people relate to. And that is emotions. The one thing that everyone can identify with is emotions. Love, hate, anger, fear, frustration, pain. You may feel it in one way and I may feel it in a different way, but it's still the common denominator. If you see pain or anger in a film, you're going to relate to that. You're going to say, yeah, I know what that feels like, in your own reality. So that's the common denominator that all actors need to be able to approach. And a lot of actors have problems with that. People in general have problem with that, being able to touch their feelings and really express them. So it's about freedom of expression and being able to do that. And then you cloak it in the character and the premise of the scene, monologue, or whatever you're working on. But the emotions are always real, and they're always coming from you, and that's the common denominator. Every time you go to a play or a movie, you know, the ones that you walk out of and you can't talk for about 20 minutes or so because you've been impacted by what you saw and experienced and felt.
It's been more rare recently.
Yeah, I'll tell you what to look for on Netflix, by the way. That's the common denominator, and it's usually not the sets, not the costumes, but what they made you feel. Exactly. So that's the school, that's the methodology that I work with. And so no matter what type of acting you've studied or with who or why or whatever, until you can get to that point where you can get past your blocks, your emotional blocks, which is where I work. And I've had a lot of success with that, not only for myself, but with the people I've coached who are now in LA and working, and Honolulu working.
Emotional blocks in acting. Give
Right.
me an example of what that means. It means someone has a scene where they're going to be angry and they're afraid to bring up real anger in themselves.
Right. Well, I get the excuses like, well, I don't feel that way. Or they have trouble expressing it. You got to find out what's causing the blocks. So it may be about,
it doesn't translate into the thing you see from them.
Right.
They're not allowing pure emotion to come through.
Right.
They're reading from the words. It's almost like singing from the throat instead of singing from the diaphragm.
Well, words are like a coloring book. It gives you an outline, and a lot of times the words will tell you what you're supposed to feel. But can you feel that? Can you actually put the color in there? You know. And now when I'm watching more and more TV, and a lot of actors tell me, "Oh, I don't watch TV. I don't do this. I don't do that." Well, I don't watch commercial. Well, but you want it working as a commercial. You better see what's going on, what people are doing.
Right.
So yeah, watch TV, watch movies, watch, you know, that you can learn a lot from just watching. And emotionally, you got to get to that point where you can express yourself. I don't have a problem with that myself. But because I've worked at it a long time. Nobody will believe this about me, but once upon a time, way back in New York, when I was a teenager and a young man, I was very shy. Very shy. Not anymore.
I'm sure that the acting gave you a place
it did.
That expression.
Yeah, and learn about myself. And that's what it's about. It's not just about pursuing a career in acting. It helps the individual become more expressive, more open about who they are, and live life more fully.
And like you say, get in touch with emotions.
Yeah, that's where we live and breathe, really, truthfully. And a lot of people hold it all in and don't express, and that's where sickness comes from and everything else. I say this over and over. Expression is freedom. We all have every right to express what we feel and how we feel. And if you don't want to do it with another person, go bury your head in a pillow, go underwater, scream, whatever you have to do. But get it out of your system. I'll tell you a funny story, if you got time for a funny story.
We got time.
Well, when I lived in Kipahulu, way back.
This is Robert Angelo here on KAKU.
I'm giving an acting class on radio. But
that's fine.
Yeah. When I lived in Kipahulu, way back in the day when I moved to Maui, that was about 33 years ago.
Okay.
I used to drive. Of course, now when you live in Kipahulu or in Homicide, they call everything the other side. So I would get in my car once a week. And say, I'm going to the other side. And I would drive, and I'd make it an all-day drive. Yeah, take my time, because I'm a Roman, not a Russian, okay? So I would take my time and I'd drive, and I'd stop at a waterfall or, whatever. But there was this one lookout point. I think it was St. Peter's, whatever, on a brick wall on the drive on the road to Hana or from Hana. And I would stop there, and I'd get up on the wall, the ledge there, and I looked down. There's this little tiny village way down down, and it looked like little toy houses on a Monopoly set, or something like that. And
sounds like Kay and I when you look out.
Yeah, exactly. Not too far from there, and I would just look down, and I would spread my arms, and I would
fly,
rip. I would rip sound. I don't even know if I could do it. I got to sit back and go, woo! And I'd rip sounds out, and man, that felt so good to get that emotionally out. Yeah, I hope that didn't break that. And
all the dogs are now in the houses barking up.
And I would do 3 or 4 of that, and just like, wow, the energy moving through my body, it felt very, very good. But here's the problem. Way down in the valley, I heard one little voice go, "Shut up! Shut up!" And that's what we're taught to do from the time we're born. We're told to shut up, right? Think about it. Shh, you wake the neighbors. Shh, the baby's sleeping. Shh. We're always being shushed in some way or another.
Yep.
So the ability to really let loose your sound and your feelings is very powerful. Yeah. Good story.
That's why your workshops have such good response, and people should be aware. Some are aware, and some should be aware. That's why we're here. Another reason. You yourself had a performance. When was that date exactly?
In 2016 at the MAC, and then 2018 at Pro Arts.
I would say really a classic version. I don't think of Clarence Darrow the same anymore.
Thank you for that. It was a labor of love. I really believe in what the man believed in. So it was easier for me to step in his shoes. The best compliments I was getting, and I got a lot of them, and I'm grateful for them, both here on Maui and in Honolulu when we did it there in 2018, was that they came to see Robert Angelo, but they saw Clarence Darrow. And I got lots of compliments on that, and people said, "Wow, I didn't recognize you. You were," but I was in the moment to moment, just feeling what I was feeling, the passion, the humor, the saltiness, the whole bit.
How do you study a part like that? It's just a long monologue.
Well, it was 62 pages of dialogue.
And yet but to stay in the moment, it's an interesting combination. You have to know where you're going, but let the words as you're speaking lead you. I don't exactly know.
Well, there are techniques, and that's one of the things I coach. People ask me, how do you do that? Well, first of all, memorizing a script, that took me 6 months to memorize that, or better part of 6 months, maybe a little longer. Every day. It's a discipline and a dedication and a desire. And those are the 3 things that work for me. Every day I would get up and I would spend an hour or 2. I'd go on a walk. Talking about walking. I would walk for an hour and a half, and I'd work on a page at a time. And every day I would go for another walk, and I would add another page. Sometimes it would take 2 or 3 days to memorize that page. But every time I went out, I started on the page 1 and worked my way up to that page and kept working my way up. So everything became more and more solid. And then I started, as everything came meshed together for me, I started concentrating on the feelings, the emotions. Who am I talking to? Why am I saying this? And so on and so forth. And then that correlates with what you're going to talk about, what you're going to say. And then also you start correlating, where am I going to be when you're on the stage? Am I going to cross to the desk here? That's when I say that line. And you take the whole thing, and it's like a potpourri of situations where it's the blocking, the emotions, and the fact that you did your homework and memorized it. Now, every once in a while, you'll go up on a line. It happens. I've dropped a paragraph here and there. But being a good actor, you don't give in to panic. You just
progress
and go on to the next thing. And, I still would like to do the perfect performance, which just very rarely ever happens, because there's always something more to shoot for. And every time, here's another thing about actors, and they need to know this. Don't try to repeat what you did yesterday or last performance. Recreate it anew. every time. It's like you're doing it for the first time, and you'll find more nuances, more things to bring to the stage, so to speak.
That's a great example. Because on stage, how do you keep it fresh? You make it fresh.
You make it fresh, and you find the nuances and new things every time you perform. Even if it's one or two little things, it just makes it. It's like it's the aha moment. Oh, wow, I didn't see that before. I'm glad I found that now. And I'm busting to do this again. We're trying to get it on the mainland. Actually, we'll see what happens.
Oh, good. So, what was it called? It was called Darrow?
It was called Clarence Darrow.
Clarence Darrow.
Yeah.
Who wrote it?
Rintels is his name. He lives in California. I got the nicest letter from him.
Was it performed by anyone before?
Oh, yeah. Fonda, Spacey.
Oh, those guys.
Yeah.
And what are their characters like? Could you compare them? You create a unique... I mean,
I can only tell you with what Tells wrote to me.
I don't think of Fonda, Henry Fonda.
Yeah.
And Kevin Spacey.
I'm Fonda.
But your performance is unique. To me, I recognize your character as quintessential Darrow.
Well, let me tell you what Rintels wrote to me. Yeah. I sent him. We recorded it at the Mac. Those are the first two performances I ever did of Darrow, and I've done 6 or 7 since then. But those were the first and second, and we recorded them. We had a 3-camera shoot,
right?
And I got to say, everybody raved about the video, so I sent a DVD to Rintels for his records, so he knew what we did and how we felt about his play. He wrote me back and he said some things. He says he told me that he thought I was a really good actor, and he thought I performed Darrow the way he thought it should have been performed. You know, when you get a letter like that, an email it was, and I was just so touched and moved. Now, he's seen the performances of Fonda and all the other actors that have performed, and there have been several. But people have come up to me and said that the show that we did was the best they've ever seen of Darrow. And
good.
Whatever. I mean, is it? I don't know. Was it? I don't know.
Well, you had a good time yourself, and you've heard good things from an audience.
I love doing it. I love doing it, and I'll do it again the first chance I get. I got to talk to you about something. We've got a good theater in town, Kahului. We got another good theater in Kihei, right?
Right.
But one of the things I think needs to happen is another third theater in Lahaina. On the west side. I know that one theater where they were doing Elvis and everything, I don't want to get into the politics of it. I heard it closed down for different reasons. But we need a good local theater on the west side.
Little black box McCoy like?
250, 200 seats. That'll be fine. But what would happen there is that the tourist market is very full, and we get a lot in Kihei, but we get a lot more in the west side. And if you put a production like Darrow, because Darrow is not expensive to produce, it's a one-man show. It's something that could play on weekends or for quite a period of time. It could be ongoing. It doesn't have to be just Darrow. Any show that's financially feasible. That
we got to go to a break here in a few seconds, right. But we'll come back to that. But imagine you were a hotel.
Yeah,
I was thinking about it in the area of music and art, because I have Maui Arts and Music.
Yeah, exactly.
So what I was thinking was, in hotels have venues, but to dedicate a venue as a theater in one of the hotels, based on a larger theme of art, music, and culture on the west side. We should talk, because I think that's a good idea. Be a prime, a really good addition to a picture. You know how Vegas has a show, and
exactly.
It almost is that same. I idea of entertainment concept.
Yeah.
There's no gambling, but to bring up the entertainment in the West Side,
and rightfully so, because of the fact you have a transient audience. It's constantly refreshing every week or two.
Isn't it amazing how less and less venues? We have to go and talk to let our sponsors and supporters get a word in edgewise. And I'll be back here with Robert Angelo. I'm Jason Schwartz on the Neutral Zone. Robert, thank you for being here. You just hang on a couple of minutes.
Love to. Back. Having fun with you.
Okay. The Neutral Zone, with me, Jason Schwartz, would like to thank Maui Arts and Music Association, Treemakers Foundation of Maui, for their support. Since 1991, with hundreds of television shows and their MauiArtsandMusic.com website, they have championed self-sustainability on Maui. The Neutral Zone is heard live Mondays at 11 a.m. and replayed Saturday at 7 a.m. on KAKU 88.5 FM, the voice of Maui.
Do you have something to say but can't find an outlet? Did you know that Akaku offers a service called Open Mic? Here, you can come in and make a statement on any topic you want, and it's free. Play a song you wrote, recite a monologue, do a funny dance, comment on a recent event. The floor is yours. Come speak your mind for free. Appointments are available Mondays and Wednesdays between 1 and 3. Call 871-5554 today to reserve your spot.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Aloha, this is Bill Best inviting you to join me for my show on KAKU 88.5 FM. It's Off the Record, and I have a chance to speak with some of the most interesting people on and off the island. So be sure to listen in every Tuesday and Thursday from 11 until noon here on KAKU, the voice of Maui, 88.5 FM.
Hi, I'm Jason Schwartz, host of The Neutral Zone. KAKU is a listener-supported station. This means that all of the great programs you hear, like mine, are sponsored by you as well as our underwriters. If you would like to help keep the voice of Maui talking loud and clear, go to kakufm.org/donate today and give. And don't miss The Neutral Zone Mondays at 11 a.m. on 88.5 FM, the voice of Maui. We are back. I am here with Robert Angelo, KAKU, 88.5 FM. But we're also going to be Akaku Maui Community Media. I call it TV. And we're going to not be on radio soon. And we're going to be on TV and TV. Because we want to be, I think the word is, known as a television show more than a radio show. And on the Akaku KAKU banners, sponsors have talked to me, and if they don't see me there as a TV show, they're wondering why should we be talking about revenues. Isn't that funny? So that's what we're doing.
Right.
So that's the same kind of thing you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, revenues. You know, who on Maui starts these things at a hotel and says, "Hey, let's dedicate this space to theater."
Right.
It's got to have someone with some vision.
You do. And that's the hard part, getting people to see the vision. You know, some people just don't have 20/20 vision. They see it's a very closed-minded, closed approach, and we need to open their eyes. One of the things I tell actors a great deal to do, and why I did Darrow, one of the main reasons I did Darrow, is because you can be the greatest actor, the greatest performer, whatever, but if they're not seeing you, the powers that be, the people that are casting and whatever, if they're not seeing your work or not seeing you in the parts, whatever, you're not getting the work, then what you have to do is what I did. Create your own. Create your own. I created the show. I had, with a lot of help from my friends, Carol Lem, Brad Starks. They all helped me to get this Darrow show up, and that's what you have to do. And now people recognize me as from the Darrow show. And
Eric Gilliam has done that here recently.
Yeah,
with his White Hawaiian with Brian Cohn.
I just saw that on Facebook. I'm looking forward to checking that out more.
Well, it's interesting because that is true. In Maui,
right,
where there aren't things around and they don't have that vision.
Exactly.
You have to create your own and put it out there.
Create your own company or whatever it takes. Yeah. Create your own work. One-man shows, whatever.
With assistance. Because as a solo,
you got to. I just said, with a lot of help from your friends, people that you believe in you and believe in what you are doing. Brad Starks. Big time. You need to get him on your show. Carol Lem, major player with the Darrow show that we did at the Mac.
See here, now we'll do it on TV. We don't have to sit here at 11 o'clock on a Monday. We can do it wherever.
Well, that's the whole point.
I've been doing that 20 years here. This radio passage was supposed to be a springboard to the TV. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to be recognized as TV by dropping radio, which is foolish to me.
I
need to get sponsors that... It's tough to do this and maintain this without some kind of cash flow. And I'm not working for anyone, so it's just unnecessary.
Well, it's all about the Benjamins, really.
It's really a funny animal. I mean, when I think about your work should be out there more, because I've seen the way you work with people. You're real heart. When you were talking
it's all about that.
Your New York experience, Gil Fisher.
Right.
Well, I don't know him specifically.
I'll send you a tape of his life. Yeah, they just showed it in New York.
And you mentioned, I was looking up online and it talked about Sanford Meisner as coach. And I remember in L.A. I was with Madame Oleska.
Right. There are a lot of coaches.
Down to what you said.
Right.
It's like being in the moment and delivering with genuine emotion.
Well, here's a key, Jason. Now, as a director, I step into a situation, and I got to work with a lot of different actors who probably have studied 6 or 7 different methods of acting, different coaches, different ways they approach. My job is not to teach them one. It's to find out how they work and find each individual's trigger and then work with that, because I have to find a unified purpose for the whole cast. And once I start getting them into my methodology, bringing the way they work into my methodology, it just jumps. It just alive. I've had actors come up to me and say, I saw so-and-so in the production. This was in New York. And I've seen him in several productions, but I've seen him in the show you just directed. That's the best work I've ever seen him do. Because I get them to be honest, truthful, and expressive. And really, because like I said, the common denominator is your feelings, always.
What brought you to Maui years ago? I mean, you've been here.
I'd like to say sex, drugs, and rock and roll, but the weather. I had enough of East Coast storms and stuff, and it's the weather. So.
And you came here and thought you'd be an actor from Hawaii?
I came here to find out who I am. To be more in touch with myself. I lived in Hana, and
my partner Ariel knew you from way back when.
Yeah. So I did that. I lived in the jungle, off the grid, for quite a few years, and I got to really know myself and like myself, and learn. I learned to talk to myself, but even more so, I learned to listen to myself. And it made me fuller and more in touch with everything I do. And I'm grateful for that time and that experience. I really am. So now I'm looking at a new project. I came across this 85-year-old man, saw me in Darrow in Honolulu. And he said, I have a couple of scripts I'd like you to look at. I looked at them, and one was a short thing, and it was not a script. It was more of a story, more relating facts and stuff like that. But the basic premise of it was very powerful, and I really loved it. And now I'm in the process of trying to find the right people to work with this. It's a piece called Waist Gunner. It's about a Air Force guy who was a waist gunner in World War II and a bomber. You know, the waist gunner.
WAIST.
You know, in the bombers, they used to have the side guns and the turrets underneath and the turrets on top. And I read it, and a lot of facts, but the premise of the whole thing was very powerful. So I told him about it. I read it, and I said, I like it. I said, I'd like to see it done, but I don't see it as a play. I see it as a short film, maybe a 10-minute, 12-minute film, something that could be done in festivals, and et cetera, et cetera. And he said, well, how do you see it? I said, I see it in a hospital. I see it with a man. And something I'd like to do as the actor personally, but I see the man sitting in a chair by the window, and you hear bombers and planes and gun, going off, and all of a sudden you hear all these sounds, and then you see him sitting there, and he's before you even see him, you hear him yell, "Get out! Bail out! Bail out!" And you see him, and when you see him, he's actually sitting by the window going like this, an imaginary shooting down attacking planes. And then a nurse comes in and gives him his meds, and he doesn't talk. But the whole film revolves around his experiences and what he experienced, and about the planes and this and that and the things that he saw, his family, his brothers died, etc. But he never talks to the camera. All you do is see his facial expressions, and he's talking. All what you're hearing is his thoughts. Even in the action scenes, limited words. Yeah, very limited. I mean, the dialogue would be done by the actor, but he would be speaking his thoughts. You never see him speak. Right. So it's just a visual of his face. Well, that'll be a fun project. I think so. I'm looking for a screenwriter to turn it into a little screenplay. And I can give a plug for Maui Community College there. I just took a course called Find Your Voice, and it was about screenwriting. Right. And it's interesting. There are a lot of young people here who, I'm talking to all you guys out there. When you hear things on our show like this, you should think, hey, I want to contact Robert Angelo because I'd like a stab at writing something. There are a lot of things here. And then filming it. All of the screenwriters. I keep thinking, we who are actors and we who want to do things need to pull from the younger generation. It's always collaboration. I'm always thinking, how can I bring something along as an industry? You and I want to say I don't want to say we're at the twilight of our career. Let's say we're on, we're more than halfway into a lifetime. And there's a lot of people who here could use involvement with the older, more experienced people, and the wisdom. Yeah. It's like, they can stand on the shoulders of those that have gone before. Right. Well, here's a key about this now. Yeah, here's a key. I'm bringing it up to them. What I'm talking about with this piece is about PTSD. Oh, for sure. So the funding is out there for things like this. This project that I'm talking about. Oh, yes. People that want to bring that subject to the forefront. Because it was happening. It was happening way to do it, in World War II. So the funding is out there. It just has to have the right. We're good. Yeah, right people involved. And like I just shouted out to you, collaboration and cooperation makes things happen. I was going to use the S word, but no. But that's the way it is. And there's not enough collaboration and cooperation going on. I mean, there is, but a lot of times it's contained. It needs to open up more. Well, there's not enough in almost every area. Oh, of course. Something has happened in our lifetime, and I'm sure you can echo it. The word selfish. Remember when it was an us generation, and then the next generation? Now things are very different. The media is a different thing. It's created totally different marketing experience. Right. It creates people as individuals getting into their own world so much more. Cooperating. Yeah. It amazes me. I heard people tell me all the time, I've heard it, that these kids don't know how to talk to each other as openly because they're involved through their little media boxes. That's all new to me. Right.
That's why acting is so fun. And also improv. I'm sure that's a great...
Oh, yeah.
People out there, know what improv is, right? I mean...
it's called life.
Like what we're doing here is improv.
Yeah, it's this isn't scripted. What we're doing is just talking. To
B. Robert says something, and I respond from that. Yeah. And I'm not a scripted guy, and I don't have any agenda. I take it from the moment.
Free form. It's good,
and it seems to be very effective a lot of times. I almost don't want. In acting, I'm sure you ever go into a thing like that?
Improv?
You half improv, or you have sort of a direction.
Yeah, acting. You do. But absolutely.
You ever do a play where you did improv inside a
lot of times when actors can't find a scene or can't find their way through a scene, and say, I can't feel this. I'll tell them, forget about the script, improv the scene, see what brings up,
Right.
And and improv is very, very beneficial in a lot of ways. But there are rules to how it's done. I've done classes on that. Now I'm thinking about going back into doing more seminars. I used to do seminars.
No.
Yeah, okay. Way back in the day in Australia and where else did I do it? Here, among other places.
Now you can do a seminar sitting in your living room. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and I'm thinking about that too.
Meanwhile, we're in Maui. We should have them come here. You don't need to do it in the living room.
I did seminars on fathers and sons. I had 3 generations of fathers and sons to sit around a campfire, and we'd get everybody to talk freely, and it was amazing when you give a talking stick to someone, and especially the youngest child, and he knows he's safe to say whatever he wants without any repercussions, because that's the rules we create. And it's interesting because in that one situation, the father said, "I didn't know you felt that way," but he was safe to say it. It was very powerful. I did a seminar for men on how to be with women in Australia. It was very powerful. The guy, I had a seminar leader actually take that workshop, and he was taking notes like it was going out of style. And a lot of it is incorporated with the acting stuff, And he invited me to dinner at his house, and his wife said, "I don't know what you said in that seminar, but thank you." Well, basically, I told him to do unsolicited acts of love. So he went home for no apparent reason and brought her roses, and she just said, "Wow." Instead of being, let me not get into it. I'll be doing a seminar on this thing.
But that's right.
Yeah, but I incorporate a lot of what I've learned over the years and what I've experienced, and I did those seminars. I mean, I brought an Aboriginal woman over from Australia to do a seminar, and she came out in all her, tribal stuff and everything, and it was attended by about 80 people. But when it came time to actually pay for the seminar, only 8 or 10 people came. And that was a shame because she had so much wisdom, so much to share, So, but for the $10 intro, everybody came. So that's where we're at.
Well, that's why I thought about doing it from a distance, because these are very different times. I mean, so I don't really know what the magic is, if there is any magic, in getting people to live events versus having less people attend live because of the price.
Well,
I don't know.
I don't mind having smaller groups, and like even in my acting classes, I don't want more than 10 or 12 people.
I used to remember when I was having an event or at an event, when there were less people, I had great angles for the camera.
Yeah.
And then the after thing was really
of course.
The more people saw it after it was recorded than the live event.
And here's another thing. With a smaller group, and I like doing this with my workshops and classes, is with a smaller group, everybody gets to do things. Everybody gets involved, and nobody feels left out, because I want you up and doing things. I mean, the only way to learn how to act is by acting.
Right.
Really. You have to get up and do it. And
so that's right. That's a good reason to have intimate groups.
I like it.
So this gal that came from Australia, they had a big intro night, but relatively few people took the actual workshop.
Yeah. Well, it's money, and of course, let's face it. We flew her over here from Australia.
Sure.
So we had airfare. We had to pay for her housing and room and board.
Oh,
and
I understand.
And the whole thing. And we wanted to send her back with some money.
Sure.
Yeah, which we were able to do. It cost us some money, but it just needs to be supported more. And now these days, I get what you're saying. It's more online podcasts, YouTube, blah blah blah. And I'm going to look into that myself.
The whole industry has changed, hasn't it? Though, because remember the days. It's really interesting how it switched. Used to be that things on stage, people would pay a lot of money for a ticket to come see a live.
Right.
And in the music business, they pay a little money and buy it and have it on a disc.
Right.
Then music starts getting everywhere.
Right.
And so people pay a lot of money to go live and see a live music. But the thing on stage with an acting thing, I prefer. I prefer seeing it on video.
Right.
I like being home with Netflix and binging. Last night I think I watched 4.5 hours about Dracula. Now that's a whole story by itself. A very interesting.
I'll tell you an interesting show to watch. It's on Netflix. There's a show called Messiah.
Oh yeah,
on Netflix.
I just started looking at it. Yeah, good one.
You did? Oh, very timely, very timely. And it's I don't want to say too much more about it, but it'll keep you guessing and saying, is he or isn't he? And it has to do with the Middle East and blah blah blah. It's really I binge watched it. It was very good.
But I was thinking about the fact of prices. Now when I want to go see a live music show, and the tickets are $45, $75, $125 for a seat at a concert. And I used to think it was great to have large crowds, so try to have low ticket price. But yet they're going for all the money at the live shows because they can't get the royalties in this new age. And it's the changing world.
There's a lot involved. It depends on the level of celebrity you're dealing with.
Oh yeah,
and ticket prices of venues. Everybody wants to get paid down the, and you got a celebrity coming in with about 12 musicians. They all got to get paid. Yeah, the money builds up, so it's understandable. The thing about live theater, though, when you go to see a live show, it's not quite the same as watching it on film. Although that's very good, and I love watching things on TV, but the experience of a live audience, the live performance with 100, 200, 300 people there, and the energy of that whole thing. And when you can get up on stage and perform, and you can hear a pin drop.
For an actor, a live experience is really something. I get that. And
also for the audience, because they're in the moment with the actor. And if the actor's doing his job, they're in the moment. It's not... It's a different energy, and for an actor like what I did with the one-man show, and anybody that's ever done a one-man show like that will say that it's like being a tightrope walker without a net. There's nobody in the wings giving me lines or prompting me. It's like stepping out and doing a high wire act without a net. So you have to trust yourself, and you have to have done the work.
And I can see where the audience watching you live is a different experience than on tape. But I'm just really funny that the media thing, 4K, 8K. Now it's as if it feels so real.
Yeah, well, there's too many K's in there. That needs to be okay. Is what it needs to be.
That's right. Well, that's very funny.
Well, we improv. Here's the thing. I think it's really important at this time and point to make our statements and say it like it is. I'm going to say something that's probably not going to be well received right now, but I see reviews that just basically constantly praise everything. Nobody ever criticizes anything or says it could be done this way, or could, or that performance wasn't exactly up to snuff. They beat around the bush.
Well, I think I saw on your website you had a review of you from Barry Wurst.
Yeah.
Now, Barry Wurst does a show here with Joe Agnew.
I love Barry.
And Barry wrote a very praising commentary to you. I had him at the UHMC at the college here. He's very interesting. Like when he saw the Joker, he minced it apart. Now it's got 10 Academy Award nominations.
Did you see it?
No. Did you like it?
I've been a Screen Actors Guild member since 1974. Okay, so I get the screeners. I get the discs on all the movies.
I see.
That are nominated for the Screen Actors Guild, and I get to vote. One year I actually was on the nominating committee. But the point being is I saw it, but I saw it in the theater, and I got the screener, so I watched it again. It's a dark movie for sure, but the his ability as an actor is incredible, and it's a study in the descent of madness to somebody who's not. It's mental. It's a mental illness movie, really, and watching him portray that was very powerful. Very powerful. So, although a lot of people didn't like it because they found it disturbing.
I see.
But that wasn't the point of the film. The point was a great character study in a man's being neglected and not cared for and overlooked, and his descent into this mental state.
Well, I take your point though on that's why I brought Barry up, because he gave that his review.
Yeah.
Praised what he needed to praise, but also gave it some zingers. Because taking his class was really a good experience to hear someone take apart movies in a different way. You know, because of it seems like most of the reviews are all surface. Some may not like a film, but they don't dig down.
Yeah, not deep enough.
If that's because of the society we're living in, which is going lateral because there's so many people and so many sources. And
everything's too PC these days.
What does that mean?
Politically correct. Everything is, you can't, when we were kids, we were able to say and do things that were fun, but now you would be ostracized beyond belief. You know, hugging now is a real problem. You know, I'm very careful not to touch anybody, you know, except animals, because they don't object. They want to be pet. No. But the point being, I know what you're saying. The point being is our society is over the top. Over the top. There's a lot of backlash on a lot of stuff.
But it's important, I think, about reviews. Right. When you're talking about reviews. Yeah. They're
just be honest. Call it like you see it.
Needs is shows that spend a little more time in.
I really like to read Barry's review. He probably points out a lot of good things. I saw it through different eyes. The thing is, I see it through an actor's eyes, through somebody who's in the business, so to speak.
Or like you say, when you're voting on categories and you're looking for best screenplay, it may not be something you like, but you like the way the screenplay did certain things.
Well, there was interesting things in that film. I mean, how it evolved into him being the Joker and the whole Batman trip. At the end, it was very, very like, oh, really? That's interesting. That was a good perspective from the filmmaker, but it is dark. And then again, I lived in Washington Heights where that big stairwell was that he does the dance up and down. I know that stairwell. I was there for a few years, so it was interesting for me to see the parts of New York that were in the film. But his performance deserves a nomination. But there are a lot of great ones. Me personally, I like Joe Pesci in The Irishman. I thought his performance was very controlled, very on point, because Pesci always plays maniacal hitmen or whatever, mafia guys in it. But here he is playing that same type of role, but
much more controlled.
Much more controlled. And I really loved him, and I loved the movie. I thought that was a very good movie. It was taken from the book, I Paint Houses, or it was a good film. And I watched I forget what network that's on. It's I think it's a cable network. The Morning Show.
Oh yeah,
liked it. I mean, right now it's all about the Me Too stuff. I mean, I just watched last night. I got that because I got the screener in the mail from Screen Actors Guild. I watched Bombshell.
Oh, good.
Well, it's Yeah, it's topical. It's Me Too. You know, about all the women coming out about Roger Ailes. And again, I thought Charlize Theron was very good in the part. The acting was very good. I can see why these films are being nominated. You know.
You may not believe it because I can hardly believe it.
Oh, we're running out of time.
We have about a minute and a half. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Where am I? A minute and a half.
I wish we could lose our sense of time and gain a sense of timing. Really.
Well, first of all, I want our audience to know, Robert Angelo, give us your email address.
ActNowClasses@gmail.com.
And you have a website also?
I have a website. It's called, what the heck is it? ActNow Classes.
Anyway, we'll find it. We'll post it.
www.actnowclasses.com.
Okay.
Or actnowproductionsllc.com.
There you go. That's why we're going to post it. We're going to make sure exactly what it is.
Okay, I'll give you a card. I'm a card carrying
radio. You're going to have to watch the show. Go to MauiNeutralZone.com. You can watch this show again and the rest of our shows. And then if you really get adventurous, we got hundreds of shows. You'll see the history of Maui on MauiArtsAndMusic.com.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you, thanks a lot, Jason, for getting me on today. I appreciate it. Get Brad Starks. He's a great interview. You'll love it.
Well, maybe we'll get him on again. We're going to be doing TV things. That'd be great. We'll get together.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for being here today. Thank you for listening to me and Robert Angelo. We only have a few seconds left, but I've really appreciated you as an audience. And we're just beginning. This is 2020. This is when the plans we've made all these years start to move into action. And come on, music. End of show. Thank you, guys. Aloha.
Aloha.